Hi, Clutter Fairy fans. This is the Clutter Fairy Weekly for October 1st, 2024. Happy October. I'm your co-host, Ed Gumnick, and I'm speaking with Gayle Goddard, certified professional organizer and an owner of the Clutter Fairy in Houston, Texas.
Hi, everybody. The Clutter Fairy Weekly is the webcast and podcast that digs deep into the clutter that piles up between you and the life that you want to be living. We explore the habits and behaviors that lead to clutter, and we suggest strategies to slow the accumulation, reduce the collection, and comfortably manage the stuff we decide to keep.
If you're new to our Zoom meeting, we want to let you know that you can share your questions and comments via the chat, and I'll try to make sure Gayle addresses them before we move on to another subtopic or topic. You can also use the raise hand feature if you'd like to ask a question or make a comment yourself via audio or video. And we are streaming the webcast live on Facebook, so you can also share questions and comments there, and I'll relay them to Gayle. We're going to start by recapping last week's Weekly Tittle, which was called Self-Talk for Living with Less. The assignment was to craft some positive self-talk to help you manage a part of your life that's particularly vulnerable to clutter. The example we gave was, I've forgotten the name, was it Cheryl, who talked about shopping and things, wanted, ideas on things to say to herself as she's preparing
While
to
she
go
was
shopping or while she's shopping.
Right?
Let's hear from our participants in Zoom and on Facebook. Who experimented with the tittle this week? Please let us know in the comments. While we wait for our audience to chime in with tittle reports, I have a question for you, Gayle.
Okay.
I know that you have been juggling a dodgy knee and a visit from your sister and an imminent visit from your father, all while you're still trying to unpack boxes and get settled into your new house. So here's my question. In the spirit of last week's tittle, what kind of self-talk have you been using to stay upbeat and positive as you navigate this busy period?
Okay. It has been difficult because my knee has flared up and I'm limping really hard, and it's taken a lot to see the doctor. It takes forever to get to the primary care physician, blah, blah, blah. So I've been limping, and my sister had planned to come to visit to see the new house, and she ended up while she was here being my nursemaid basically and doing everything for me because I've been limping around so bad. But she did help me unpack a bunch of boxes, which was great. And so my self-talk around this has been, my tendency is to judge myself according to how I would handle clients' move-ins. Clearly the timeline is not working the same for me at my house. It's going a million times slower. And so my self-talk is about, it's okay. It doesn't all have to be unpacked in a hurry. You do not have to be, the house does not have to be transformed immediately. And I can have space to recover. And I just keep trying to be okay with that and telling myself it's okay. You're injured, and, you can't go at the typical, the place where I find it most annoying is when I'm walking. I normally walk really fast, and I'm like hobbling along, so I can't walk at all at the speed that I normally do. And so that's a place where it really kind of pokes me. And so I just keep having to say to myself, it's okay. You don't have to go fast. It's going to be fine. You're going to be fine. And I'm just trying to make space for whatever plans that I had about unpacking have to wait because I can't do it at the same speed. So that's what I'm doing right now, is be accepting of my own physical limitations at the moment and waiting for, I got to go have x-rays. I got to go to PT, la, la, la. And it takes forever to roll all that stuff out. And so I want to get it done like the next day, right? You get hurt and then you want to get fixed the next day, and I can't. So I'm coaching myself on patience and, making space for, you can't unpack 15 boxes today. You can only unpack one before you run out of physical steam. So that's what I'm doing. And my family has been, they're like super interested in seeing the new house. So my dad is taking advantage of, and my stepmother's going on a girls trip, and he's like, oh, this is a great time for me to come. And I'm like, great, Dad. Okay. Come on down. So my sister literally left Saturday, and my dad's coming today. And it's fun to have family here, and I appreciate that they're enthusiastic about the fact that I bought a house and they want to see it. And so, and I had intended to go out there and visit and over the summer. And of course, the move changed all that, and I didn't get to go see my dad. So, I'm glad that he's making time to come. And I'm just kind of rolling with it. I'm just rolling with the plans. Like my dad wants to come. Okay, come on, Dad. The truth is, if he wasn't here, I wouldn't be unpacking any faster anyway, because I'm hurt. And so, yeah, that's where we are about this right now. And I'm trying to be accepting of that. Like
Yeah.
I'm not 45 anymore. When I started the business, I could run around like rings. And right now, normally I'm walking just fine, and this is temporary and it's not going to last forever. So that's what I'm telling myself. It's temporary.
Okay.
It's not going to last forever.
Well, on the self-talk tittle, Jane in California says, I've reached a point where I ask myself if I'm willing to let go of a similar item when I shop, focusing on one in, one out.
That's good. That's a good way to think about it. And to recognize that at this time in your life, you probably already have some version of what you're trying to buy, right? Like it isn't that you don't have one, it's just the one that you like isn't new and fresh anymore, right? And so, yeah, at our age, that's totally true. Like you've got something that works already, you just don't it's not as cool and cute as the new ones. So you have to make space for, okay, I want a new one, which means I'm going to have to get rid of something that actually works and is still solving the problem. It's just not, it's new and fancy and, whatever, new and improved as the new one you're looking at. And that's a good point of view. Great way to
Um,
look at it.
Shout out to Tam. Welcome back to Tammy, who says
Oh, hi, Tammy.
she's missed us on Tuesdays, but she's changed her a standing appointment to be able to be here again.
Awesome. We're glad you came back. I know life gets in the way, so we appreciate every time somebody makes time for us in their day, especially on the lives. We really appreciate that you do that. Thank you for joining us. And we're
Paula
glad that you're
said,
back.
Paula says, my neighborhood decluttered a problem neighbor over the weekend. We're all doing the happy dance. I
Whoop,
assume that
whoop.
those people were decluttered voluntarily, that maybe the
Yeah.
problem neighbor left on their own and not,
Yes,
had
they
to be
weren't
run out of town on a
arrested or
rail, right?
right, like the mafia didn't come and take them away, right? That's exciting.
Some more self-talk for you. Well, Teresa says, feel better. Let me know if I can come over to be of help.
Thank you.
And Catherine said, if it is to be, it's up to me. There's some self-talk for you on the
Oh, yeah,
getting the house clear eventually.
right. It'll eventually happen.
Naomi says, not directly related to the tittle, but I have started painting my bathroom after years of dithering. And now I can
Oh,
say, what's the worst thing that could happen? If I totally screw it up, I'll just actually hire someone to redo it. It is
right.
amazingly empowering to just start. Man,
Exactly.
that right there, it's empowering to just start. That would make a great little plaque, painted plaque to put up on the wall.
Right. And truthfully, nobody's going to take more care and caution than you are in your own space. You're going to be super careful, and unlike anybody else for which it is a job, for you, it's your house. And so you're going to be super careful while you work, and I'm sure it'll be fine. Will you be as fast as a professional painter? No, but you can do it and be happy with the results. And if not, you can hire the professional painter to clean it up. Like you don't have to hire them to redo it 100%. They can come behind you and straighten up the edges if they need to,
Yeah.
right? If you're happy with the color. Well, good luck. I hope the project goes well. Come and tell us how it went. And good for you for getting started.
JB reports, started tackling my mother's bedroom yesterday by grouping things together. She went to nursing home at the start of the year. It's a different kind of mess because of her dementia. Things are very strangely grouped, hidden with a lot of uncleanliness. I think it took this long to be able to face it because of the emotional associations, and it's still hard. But I've
Yeah.
realized this is a room zero, in quotes, to be able to clear out the rest of the house and have a place to put the stuff I want to keep. Wow,
Mm.
that's a big, tough move.
Right. And I'm sure that room was assigned to your mother while she was using it. And so you didn't have any use of it at all, right? Because her stuff was in there. And so It is very typical. It's interesting when I encounter clients that are starting to have um, dementia, Alzheimer's, other sort of brain conditions that are, if they've had head injuries or things like that. There are ways where your brain gets scramblized, and then that scramblization is reflected in your stuff. And I can tell it's a different kind of mess when someone is struggling with their brain not functioning correctly. And so it is that the categories don't make sense, or it's chaotic in a tornado kind of way. Like it's most people will put, here's my pile of paperwork and it's a big mess, but it's all paperwork generally. Or here's my pile of craftiness and it's in 3 different places, but each of those places is a pile of craft stuff. But for somebody who's sort of their brain is misfiring a little bit, then you start getting random piles of completely unrelated things, which reflect the picking up and putting down without thought that happens a lot. And so I start to see it's chaos in a different way when I start interacting with people like that. And I recognize that sorting it at that point and trying, like, there's not going to be training this person to take over, and this is where the families get confused. They're like waiting for their mom. If only the organizer will come in and straighten it out, then the mom can keep it up. And it's like, no, based on the way that this stuff is sorted, that she doesn't have that executive functioning anymore. She doesn't have it to work with. And so I'm sorry that you're looking at the outer reflection of your mother's mind in the room. And I know that transitioning to her just a new place was a hard decision and a difficult move. And so I'm sure there's a lot of emotions tied up with you. It's not just that you're cleaning up the room, it's that you're looking at the deterioration of your mother's condition.
Hmm.
And that's hard to face.
Yeah.
But good job for going in there. And just remember that you don't have to do it in one long weekend, right? Like you can go in there for a couple of hours and work and go away. It's not going anywhere. And so you can, work for a while and give yourself a break and come back another day and, and just keep chipping away at it in pieces that are manageable for you. Recognize your own internal emotional struggle here around this. You've got this added layer of it's not just you organizing a room, right? It's you organizing a room and facing all of the ways that your mother's life has changed as you go in there. And so take care of yourself around that and make sure that you're not pushing yourself too hard through it. I guess is the best way to say it.
M said, my brain gets scrambled whenever I'm sick. I have to be careful not to try to sort. The results are too creative. And
Right?
I've read several things recently. I think there must have been a large scale study or something, that a lot of people are experiencing some kind of cognitive deficits as a symptom of long COVID.
Mm,
So people who haven't been diagnosed with any other type of, degeneration or cognitive
impairment.
decline, are still like the lingering with the brain fog kind of thing.
Yeah,
So,
and it's when I had COVID, I definitely had that 3 week period of brain fog where I didn't feel like my brain worked like it should, and so I have a small experience of what that's like, and it's very confusing that it's like I know how to do this, or I know that I could normally make this happen. Why am I having so much trouble now? And it was a good experience for me to see what it's like. Some people live in that place all the time. And so my
yeah,
ideas about organizing aren't really helping them because their brain is not supporting them to do better.
yeah,
So, and that's an adjustment that families have to make too. Like you see your mother as your mother and you remember her as all of the things that she did and was and all of when she was in her full capacity and able to do everything. And it's hard to recognize that you have expectations that your mom should be able to take care of herself, or she should be able to cook, or she should be able to clean. And the truth is that, as we age, some of those things start to fall off, and you can't do it as well as you used to, and you do need help. And I think kids have trouble adjusting to mom not being the superhero anymore and
Yeah.
needing support. And so it happens with clients a lot where I have to like give a little coaching to the kids about, yeah, your expectation is completely unrealistic now. That's not what you're expecting her to be able to do by herself is not in her capacity anymore. And you have to shift gears. And I think sometimes people are really startled when they realize that's taken place.
Yeah. Amanda, one more comment. Amanda says
Okay.
it's very hard to pull the trigger on parenting your parent.
Yes. That is the short version of what I just said. Thank you. That's exactly right.
Okay,
It's
let's
true.
move on to our main topic.
Okay.
It's October, so we are all about to embark on the season of food, shopping, celebration, and chaos that runs from now until the new year. And even for those who don't celebrate, I don't celebrate a whole lot, but we who don't celebrate a lot of the holidays sort of get dragged along for the ride with everyone else, right? At
Right.
least at least in the US.
Yep.
This year, why not plan your holiday season to include only your most beloved treats and traditions? Today, we're going to offer tips to streamline the season for yourself and your loved ones with simpler, more relaxing, less cluttered approaches to holiday preparations.
I cannot believe it's already the start of the holiday rush. I was just in the Target over the weekend with my sister, and it's like there's Halloween stuff everywhere. And it's like, it's not even October. I mean, that was last week. And it's like, how is this all out here already? Halloween is really just around the corner in the United States, and that signals decorating and gifting season has begun. My whole summer went by in a blur, getting through the move, and now I'm talking about the holiday season. I can't believe it. I guess it's part of the rhythm of life that as the seasons change to fall and winter, everybody's celebrations begin, regardless of the cultural context. Those celebrations are almost always driven by family traditions of some kind. And as all families are different, the traditions come in a million variations. Each of our family traditions are precious to us and have the added weight of having been repeated for many years and sometimes many decades,
Right?
depending on
Just several
how your
generations.
family
Yeah.
traditions are. Yeah, generations is a better way to say that. Yeah. It makes them seem like they're inviolate and immovable. But Ed and I wanted to remind you of our definition of clutter. Clutter's anything that gets in the way of living the life that you want to be living. So, is there any part of your holiday plans that's become clutter? For example, are there traditions you practice because you've always done them or because family and friends expect you to do them, even though you no longer cherish or even enjoy them? Are there holiday routines that take more time or energy than you can spare now that you've gotten older? What's the core or the heart of your holiday celebrations? Are there other things that cut into your ability and resources that are available to enjoy the core activities? Making a change to a longstanding tradition takes some guts, and you can always expect to get tons of pushback. People don't like change in general, and they hate changes to their traditions. I'm reminded of a story that somebody told in here about they changed the recipe for the dressing,
Mm.
and they added celery or they put mushrooms in or something. And one of the adults in the room, a son, declared out loud and angry beyond all reason, "You have ruined Thanksgiving." It's like, okay, it's just some dressing, dude. Like, come on. So, but those traditions have that weight behind them, and making changes to those traditions sometimes flip people out. But we're here to remind you that your people can get over it. They may react badly and give you a lot of negative feedback, but you can always have a trump card to pull out, which is, what will you do when I'm not here? Who will be doing these traditions then? Sometimes people need to be reminded that there's going to be some time when you are actually not present, and then who's going to be making the turkey, right? So if something that you've always done is too much for you now, then take back your peace of mind and do something else. And there's nothing wrong with being kind to yourself around this, just like I'm doing for myself right now around the move. You can be kind to yourself around these holidays, and you can decide, the 15 hours that it takes for me to put Thanksgiving dinner together for everybody is more than I can handle now. And you can declare to your family, I'm not cooking all that stuff. You guys have to cook it, or we're going out for dinner, or whatever it is that you need to do for whatever holiday tradition you got going on.
I
You
want
can
to
morph that tradition into something else.
I want to throw in a comment from Rowan at this point. She shared this
Okay.
before we even got into this topic, but it's terrific. Rowan says tradition is about passing on the flame, not worshiping the ashes.
There you go. Good quote. That's very good. And it absolutely true. And for people that have traditions that are rooted more in their religious beliefs, then there's always something to go back to focus on aside from what's the meal made of and how the decorations are hung. And if that's not your focus and there's something else going on for you around the holidays, still anything that you pick to do can be something you can modify it to something that you can manage, and you don't have to explain it, and you don't have to, like, the family can be mad, and you can just do what you need to do anyway. The truth is, in this environment, changes twist people up, and they can be all twisted about it, but it doesn't change the fact that it's something might be too hard for you now, and they have to have their holiday emotions about it and move on.
Well, and we're talking about making the holidays for you and your family instead of feeling obliged to traditions. And traditions is a kind of broad word. I mean, there are traditions as in, religious observances that we've done for hundreds or thousands of years. And then there are traditions like the dressing in the turkey has the chestnuts in it, you know,
Right. Right.
and we want to encourage people to just examine. And another great uh, comment from Rowan, she said, decluttering only begins with the stuff. So what we're kind of talking about today is decluttering our ways of thinking, decluttering our routine behaviors.
Our commitments.
Yeah, decluttering our schedules, decluttering
Hmm.
our beliefs about what we have to do
What has
to
to be
to
done?
honor
Yes,
the
yes,
holiday we're celebrating.
yes, 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 100%. So in that vein, we thought we have some thoughts about how to declutter your holiday season, and we want to offer you some practical ideas for simplifying and streamlining the holidays for you and your loved ones. And I'd also like to encourage you to throw in any comments if you are contemplating a change that you think your family's going to resist. Tell us about it, ask us about it, and let's see if we can help troubleshoot it for you to make it a little bit easier, give you some ammunition for fighting back a little bit.
I'm gonna actually start. I'm gonna jump in with one
Oh,
right
okay.
off the bat.
Okay.
Um, my older sister's been here for a visit, and she had a talk with Dad, who likes to produce little gift boxes of
Cookies, right?
handmade cookies and
Candy.
candy.
Oh,
He
okay.
does
Oh, I forgot
typically
about that. It's that time of year, huh?
five or six or seven varieties of things and puts them in little boxes that he's ordered, and then we drive around and deliver them. Many of them he delivers himself at the community where he lives,
Right.
but he's still got friends living out in the wild, and so we drive around. I drive around with Jaime and Hardy, and we go visit all these people and give them gifts. Well, Anne was here and does not plan to be back to help him with the effort this year, but he hinted while she was here this week that he might want to scale it back this year, that he might not be up for doing the same thing. So I'm planning to
Because
jump all over that.
right. So how old are you? How old is he now?
Dad is 94,
Oh my gosh. So he's
and
entitled to slow down, right?
he's still trying to do a whole Willy Wonka outfit, every
Oh,
Christmas and Easter. And so my suggestion to him is going to be that instead of making the boxes and doing the drill we've been doing, that we just plan for him to purchase some nice candy or cookies or treats, and then we go visit the people that I've been delivering the boxes to. We
right.
just go make quick little visits, like two a day each weekend in December. Nothing
Mm-hmm.
too elaborate, just a few
Right.
visits where he gets to actually deliver it himself instead of slaving in the kitchen at 94 years old.
Right. Really didn't have to do that.
Yeah,
And yes, it's going to cost more money, but at 94, who cares, right? Like he can spend the money on the candy. It's not a big deal. And I'm sure that's going to be for him, it's the mental shift of there's probably some emotion around what makes it more special is that I made it myself. And so you're going to have to coach him through you know, it doesn't devalue your gift just because you didn't make it yourself.
right.
And he's spending money on it and he's going and giving the gifts, and what he really wants is the excuse and the opportunity to go visit and chat with his friends. And so the important part is that he gets to extend his visits out and not wear himself out and still have personal contact with people that he cares about.
Yeah,
That'll be fun for you. Uh, and we'll see how he feels about it. Maybe
yeah,
he's going to try it differently and let him adjust and see what he thinks about it.
yeah,
Okay, so we're going to talk about first, we're going to make our suggestions about how to streamline. And the first one is about activities. So I'm going to suggest that you choose activities that include as many people as possible. So one evening that includes a lot of your friends and family means that you're not as overcommitted. So um, in terms of your dad, I'm thinking, he could have a collection of people over all together, sort of like, more of a party instead of less of a one-on-one, but he may prefer the one-on-one. But in general, it's one way that you can streamline your activities down. If you choose an activity that a whole bunch of the family members can participate in, then you sort of, you you get more bang for your buck that way. Everybody experiences the holidays in their own way. So be okay with those that want to opt out of an activity. You can see their side of it, right? Maybe they're a little overwhelmed. Don't overbook. Even though it's the holidays, there's still only 24 hours in a day. There's still only 7 days in the week. You still have a limited number of weeks from now until the end of the year when all this stuff is supposed to happen. So you basically have 12 weeks of time. Then that is not flexing. So you don't want to be working, doing all your other commitments, everything that you have to do in your life, and add on a huge amount of activities that are holiday related in on top of it. So be careful about how you give your time away. Pick the most important events only, and then see how crowded your calendar is after you've added those in. And then don't add anything else if it fills up your free time and burns your energy level for extra events. Extroverts thrive on endless people interaction, so more parties are thrilling to them. My little sister would be like, "Ooh, another party? Awesome." She would go to a party every night if she could. They want, because they feed from that energy of being with a bunch of people and interacting with a bunch of people and talking. Like that's all energy infusing for her. But if you're an introvert, you may not want a huge new burden of people interactions. And introverts tend to be more comfortable and less stressed around people that they have existing relationships with, people that they feel comfortable with and know well, and they experience them in smaller quantities at once instead of big room full of people. So you want to plan those events that you pick around how you receive and give energy. And if you're an introvert, you may want to scale down your events to stuff that are interacting with less people and smaller amounts of time, more time in between them, because that'll make it easier for you to manage. You might want to make an effort to try one new thing, something that's new and different this year. Maybe you can start a new tradition. Trade the stress of doing exactly the same thing as last year for the excitement of doing something new, so that the tradition becomes you do one new thing each year, and it can be flexible for the group and the weather and everyone's schedule in that year. It can be, we plan something new each year, and that's the recurring theme. And yet still everybody gets to experience something new. And, if you try it and it didn't work this year, no worries, because next year we're doing something else, right? So it gives you the idea to try something on and leave it, and because it wasn't received enthusiastically, you go on to the next thing the next year. New and different, very exciting. Okay, for gift giving, as we've said here a million times, give experiences instead of objects. The experiences do not need to be decluttered later in life. They do not need to be downsized later in life. So try concert tickets, massages and facials, fancy things that somebody would never buy for themselves, classes, lectures, movies. Fly an old friend in to see you or pay for their trip to go see another family member. There's plenty of experiences that you can give grown-ups that they will appreciate and that do not involve handing an object over to them for them to manage. And so if you're going to spend money anyway, spend it on an experience instead. Last year, I bought tickets to a comedy show that I really wanted to go see. And Ali Wong was here, and she makes me laugh so hard. And so I bought tickets and took several of my friends, and that was my Christmas gift to them. And we all went together. So we had an evening together, and we all laughed really, really hard in the middle of the holiday season. And it was great. And then I didn't have to worry about finding and delivering gifts to everybody. And I spent the same amount of money that I would have spent on gifts anyway. And so it was a great thing to do. And I think I was happy and I feel comfortable not giving clutter to people too. there's something that's inappropriate about the Clutter Fairy giving away objects, I think. And so it's not, it's not in my brand to add things to your stuff in your house. So I always have a little moment of, oh God, what am I need to give you something that you're going to use, not that's going to end up on a shelf somewhere. So giving away tickets was a great thing for me. And I think it works for grownups a lot. And everybody has favorite bands, favorite, places they want to go, things they want to experience. And you can totally put money into that. Food version, the consumable version is you can give consumables like food and drinks. One of my friends one year, she made roasts cooked with her grandmother's recipe, and then she gave little cooked roasts out to all of her friends. It was really tasty, and it was in the middle of Christmas, and it's like being able to go and have roast for dinner was wonderful. It was very thoughtful, and she bought a bulk of roast and did them all the same and cooked them all together, and out they came, and she had gifts to go. So it was a really wonderful one. So you can get creative around that. It doesn't have to be something hard. And like, Ed's dad, he's not up for the whole cooking process anymore, but you can go and buy consumables and give them away and that would be lovely. There's all kinds of really fancy things that come out specifically at the holidays that are fun to give away. One thing that our family needs to learn, my family in particular needs to learn, is to focus on a few special and carefully chosen items instead of going for the volume. Relatives can pool their money to buy one big item. Let's buy a computer for dad. Let's send this couple on a trip on a cruise instead of buying a bunch of little things. And, now that my niece and nephew are adults themselves, the whole Christmas chaos, we got to count our gifts to see who has the most kind of vibe needs to fade, right? Like you're not a little kid anymore, and it's not a race, it's not a contest to see who gets the most gifts. Now, 6-year-olds do that, 12-year-olds do that, but it's hard to do that when you're 30. So it's something that you can shift. There's something about little kids that makes everybody, all the grandmas and all, everybody wants to add a bunch of gifts to the kids, and they want it to be a free for all with the wrapping and the tearing and the chaos on Christmas morning. But as everybody gets older, that requirement is no longer present. So it changes the nature of the celebration. And I think focusing on some carefully chosen ones, pooling your money to buy a more expensive gift instead of putting down $110 gifts is a better thing to do. And so you just want to go and have, breakfast casserole with your family on Christmas Day anyways. You don't have to buy a million gifts. Like I said, my family needs to learn this. We have not, we've adjusted it some, but I don't think we've adjusted it enough. I keep coming home with things and going, oh, why do I have a suitcase full of stuff again?
Once when I was living, I had recently moved to a new place, and so I was not going to be with my family for the holidays, and I went to spend Christmas with someone else's family. I'm not going to say who it was because this story does not reflect well on them. They had a family tradition. There were 15 or so people in the
Mm,
house
mm,
for Christmas brunch, and then their gift tradition was for everyone to go around and open, like for people to open one gift at a time in series, like going around, which
Oh,
meant that who was a last minute addition to the list, I had like one gift to open.
right.
And then I got to sit there while, the kids of the family were opening like 15 or 16 things,
One at a time,
one at a
as
time.
slow as possible.
Absolutely brutal. And I afterwards was
Oh,
like kind of resentful of how, how that time had been spent. And somebody said it's because grandma does most of the gift shopping. So it's grandma is the one who won't let go of this tradition
oh,
because
oh,
it calls
oh.
attention to the fact that grandma bought most of the gifts.
Oh
And so it was kind
no.
of great big ego exercise for grandma and
Oh, that's too
torture
much.
for, all the people who were only getting two or three things and still had to sit through this ordeal.
Right. And watch everybody unwrap. Oh, that's yeah. Okay.
While we're paused on the stuff you're going through, let me share a couple comments. Naomi mentions the dictatorship of the fruitcake. She she says, at my peak, I made 30 fruitcakes to give away.
Oh my goodness.
As the years have gone by, more and more people have gone gluten-free, and I have gradually been able to accept that not everybody likes fruitcake. That is a true statement. The,
Oh, and so you have reluctantly morphed your own tradition to making less fruitcake than
she says,
before.
this year I'm wondering whether to make more than three cakes.
There you go. Well, great that you are recognizing the shift and that your enthusiasm for fruitcake does not uh, go across everyone's enthusiasm.
Yes. And then we have various positions pro and anti food cake in the comments, which I will not go through too many of those.
But the point is, it's something that you love and that you want to make for yourself, and you're trying to share it with everybody else, and you're realizing that not everybody feels the same, right? And so I think you can think about the people that actually eat it and make it for the people that like it. And you can do something else for other people and you don't have to make it. Like you can go find something else to give them instead. If you love the fruitcake, then you should make it for yourself at the very least. And if you don't end up giving away a bunch of it, if somebody says send me all the fruitcake, there, see, you can make some for the group and you can mail some fruitcake around the country. That would be great.
Jane says, years ago, I let my family know that I wouldn't have time to make the Thanksgiving pies from scratch. Someone else could make them or I'd buy them. Although disappointed, my family agreed I should buy the pies. On Thanksgiving night, while having dessert, another family member commented that the pie he had was the best I ever made. That was the end of my homemade pies. Sometimes change can be for the better. After that, buying the pies became the new tradition.
Oh, nothing like somebody who's tone deaf that doesn't get what they're saying. Like, think about it for a minute, dude, before you say, "Gee, this pie that you made is the best one ever." Yeah, didn't you see the box over there? I didn't make this one, dude. Oh, that's so funny. Well, there's professional people to do this professionally, right? And so you can't feel bad about losing to a professional baker. Okay,
Right,
you
exactly.
did your best, and a professional baker trumped you. Well, what a shock, right? So, of course, a professional cook would do a better job, and great if the family was willing to adjust to it. Awesome, and it saves you because pie making is time consuming and a hassle, and doing the dough and all the stuff, it's like a huge deal. So that is a perfect thing for you to slide off your counter and be, I'm not doing that this year. I don't have to do that. And you are perfectly adjusted and well, you know, you've reaped the benefit of the family making the shift in tradition. So good for you. I'm sure it was a little ego bruising for a moment, but just remind yourself that the professional beat you, not another amateur. And
Right.
so it's fine that the professional won, right? I have a story in my head, and I'm sure it was somebody in our audience at some point that told this story, but she talked about how she had been making the Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner, I can't remember which it was, She'd been making it for decades. Everybody came to her house. It took her, 10 hours to get the meal together. She had to shop before. She was physically struggling to be up and in motion for that long, and that the family just would not let her stop doing it. And she was so miserable and so, in pain from all of the time and effort and it was just like, it was, she was continuing to do it under pressure from her family, and it was just making her miserable. And the idea that someone would not notice that it was too hard, like they were invested in the tradition being the same, and they hadn't noticed that their mother didn't have the capacity anymore. It was too hard for her. And that just made me crazy. Like, pay attention to your own parent and notice that they don't have the strength anymore. It's too much work. And, figure out another way, give her a break, pass it on to the next generation. She can still make cherry pie, or she can still make the dressing that's everybody's favorite, and the rest of you guys can take over the rest of the meal. And ultimately she, we talked about just declaring that she wasn't going to do it. Just say well in advance, I'm not making Thanksgiving this year, or whatever meal it was. I'm not doing it. So somebody has to figure out something else, because I'm not doing it. And she had to put that out there and hold fast while the family all lost their minds, and then they figured out something else to do. But expecting somebody to keep up a tradition that's too hard physically for them to do now, because all, just like making pies from scratch, all of those elaborate recipes and massive quantities take a lot of work and effort, and you don't keep it up if it's too much for you. Modify it until it's comfortable and fun for you again. And that's our ultimate message here. Modify until it's fun and comfortable for you again. And the family can get over it. The family can adjust. I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore. I'm not physically capable of doing this anymore. I'm going to do this and this instead. And, you guys can fill in wherever you wish. I worry about, there's a lot of moms out there that, under pressure of being mom, and having always done it as a mom for the family, the bigger family, whoever takes over that tradition and ends up being the center point of those holiday meals or holiday gatherings, and has signed on for a lot of basically party planning and execution. And at some point, it's not easy to do anymore. And so, I think about all the work that Ann and Bob do at their house to make all of that food come out on the table. And, Bob likes to cook. So for him, it's a marathon that's fun. But, for
Right.
somebody else.
And he's usually got the support of Anne and Joan, who
And
also
Joan, right.
both like to cook. And actually,
Sous chefs.
Anne has been teaching Ken to cook
Oh,
in
really?
this last year. Yeah.
That's good. All right. Well, so,
He's-
they're
he was
trying to draw in support workers, which
he
is
was he
great.
was he was the only non-chef in the family through his childhood, but he's apparently ready to
He's
start
stepping up.
becoming part of the family tradition.
Cool.
We're a whole family of cooks.
I know, right? Everybody loves to do it. And I just benefit from it immensely. I go for Thanksgiving dinner, and it's so good. It's always so good. And it's a time when because he likes to cook, Bob always comes up with he throws in a new recipe every time. He modifies something. He tries a new side dish. It's not the same meal every year, which I appreciate. And so, they get to have fun with it. And for them, the work is part of the entertainment of the holiday for them, which is great. But if it's not for you, that's okay too. Again, Bob is a very experienced chef, and not everybody has that same skill set. And so I certainly wouldn't have that skill set. If I was in charge of Thanksgiving dinner, no one would eat. That would be the truth. Okay, so
Whataburger for everyone.
Whataburger for everyone, right? We're getting Chinese food delivered.
Okay, we were
We were
about
in
halfway through gift
gift
giving.
giving,
Yeah.
yeah. So one thing I can add to that gift giving list is that you can choose gifts that are portable and easily wrapped or bagged. So if it's easily wrapped and it's easy to carry, then it's less stress for you. So sometimes we go a little overboard and we buy something that's super big or awkward or unusual, and you can make a concentrated effort to not buy things that are unwieldy or difficult to manage or difficult for you to carry. So Just keep that in mind when you're shopping. You can give, as a gift, you can give spending money for an upcoming trip. Think about people give money to newlyweds, and it's a really great tradition that, you give money to newlyweds so they have money to spend on the honeymoon, right? And so you can do a similar tradition and adapt it for a holiday gift giving instead. You can say, oh, you're going on this trip. Let me give you, here's some money for you to spend on your trip that you're going on. Um, it doesn't have to be a trip that's for adults. It doesn't have to be a trip that's happening imminently. It doesn't have to be something that's happening over the holidays or at the Christmas season. Or, it can be you're going on that cruise in the spring and here's some money to spend on the cruise. Like an adult can appreciate a time delayed gift in a way that a little kid can't. But if you're gifting to an adult, then you can give them spending money to go on their trip that they've got upcoming. You can also give donations in the name of the recipient to a charity that they support. Supporting that cause is important to them, and it's a lovely gesture for them. If this is a gift that is particularly tied to adults that already have a relationship with a charity where they volunteer or make regular donations. And so if you can find out what that charity is that they're especially um, attached to or invested in, then you can give donations to that charity in their name or on their behalf, and that's a lovely gift for someone that is already working hard to support a charity.
Catherine says, for Christmas, we now do, instead of exchange gifts, we do a group donation towards a cause.
Oh, that's a
So,
lovely idea. There you
you could
go.
also, you could also be the one who spearheads that effort in your family.
Right, collectively pool
As
some
a,
money and then make a donation to something.
yeah,
That's great. That's a great idea. I hadn't thought of that one. That's a modified, gift giving money version that works, charity
yeah,
version that works.
yeah.
Thanks. So let's just talk about decorating for a little bit. This is because it's October 1, right? So we're at the beginning of the gauntlet. So this is the time to thin down your collection of decorations to include only your favorites. I helped a client clear out their garage after 20 plus years, and at least half of the stuff in there was years of Christmas. When you reach a retirement age, you're going to have a big collection that you won't want to set up in full anymore. It's an excellent time to turn over those items from year to year to keep the collection fresh. So we're at the beginning of the season. So now you can pull things down, and it might be earlier than you would normally do it to pull. You're pulling out Halloween if you decorate for Halloween, but at the same time, pulling out Thanksgiving and Christmas, whatever your holiday traditions are that run from now to the end of the year, whatever decorations you pull them all down now and go through them and see if some of them are ready to be donated. They can be passed on, because if you donate them now, they will be put out and sold now, which is the goal, right? They don't want Christmas in July or March. They want Christmas now to be able to put out for the season to sell. So if you have a collection, now's the time to pull it all out and try to make some choices about what needs to stay. I will say that I just did an assessment last night at somebody's house, and they're leaving Houston. They bought a house in another state, and they said to me, we have an attic full of stuff. Oh, what's up in there? Oh, it's all Christmas. There's 3 Christmas trees up there. Like, yeah, you're not moving all that to the new house in another state. You're downsizing. So that stuff's all going to have to come down, and a bunch of that is going to be donated now so that it doesn't move with you you don't pay to move it across country and then never set it up again in the other place, right? So now's the time for that stuff to come down. And you can do that for yourself, pull it all out, make some choices, donate it away, thin the herd. You can also make a plan now for the smallest acceptable amount of decorating. If your kids are 6 or 12, you probably want to decorate heavily. But if your kids are in college, you can start dialing it back a bit. And I remember when my mother did that, when she moved to North Carolina, there was a point where the tree stopped being regular tree size and started being about,
Tabletop tree.
yeah,
Yeah.
tabletop size, right? And so she created a setup that with the tree set up on the top, and the cats could knock it down, and she pulled out her favorite ornaments, and that's what went up. And so it was different, and it was easier for her to manage. She ended up not putting out all the the ornaments that she had, and she started giving those away, and it was a way for her to not go overboard and still find it manageable for herself. And I went and stayed with her, and I enjoyed it just fine. It was beautiful. So you can decide based on the stage that your family is in and the age of the people that are coming to your house, how much you want to decorate, how much time and effort you want to put into that. And some grandmas, they're like, the grandkids are coming, I'm blowing it out. Well, that's great. If that works for you and you have the energy and you want to, explode the holiday all over the house, then great. And you will enjoy it. And if it's something that's become too hard, or it's tedious, or it's not your favorite thing to do anymore, then you can dial it back to what feels like comfortably manageable. That term that we use all the time, comfortably manage the stuff we decide to keep. So you can comfortably manage your decorations too. You can aim for that goal. And let's see if we can make it more fun for you. I will say, don't add anything new to the holiday decorating this year. Don't be shopping for new stuff out in the world. Shop at your own store. If you have a store's worth of decorating items already, then you want to use what you have, and you can change it up by making a new arrangement so that it creates a fresh version of your holiday decor. But you got too much in there anyway. You might as well try to refresh it with your own stuff and subtract the things that you don't ever pick because they're tired and aged and falling apart. Now I know that there's going to be sentimental things that are aged and falling apart, and they feel like heirlooms to you, or they're from when you were a childhood or your parents' childhood or whatever. But that's not everything. So in general, you want to go through and look for the stuff that is, whether it's being used or not, and whether it can be released into the wild again. One other thing you can do about decorating, which I think is a lot of fun, you can take time to experience other people's holiday decorations in lieu of doing so much work yourself. There are lots of extravaganzas to see, from churches to big buildings to restaurants and hotels. So check out someone else's blowout for your annual dose of holiday cheer. Maybe even consider planning an event to someplace off-site so they'll decorate the room instead of you. I'm reminded of the Biltmore Estate. This now tourist attraction is decorated over the top at the holidays, and it's a sight to see. So a family outing to take in the decorations at some splendid location can be a great alternative to tons of decorating at your own space. So just keep that in mind. There's always some place that's wildly decorated that you can, everybody can come have dinner, go meet for dinner somewhere, and then go off and look at decorations at something. And that will feel very holiday-esque without you having to set it all up. Just a thought. In general, we're just here to remind you that you can make the holidays anything you want, and you can be happy instead of stressed. We do not want you to be stressed, and decluttering the holidays is only going to improve your peace of mind. And that's what we're all about here at the Clutter Fairy. So we hope you will give it a shot.
Okay, we are just about out of time. I need to remind everybody that we'll be back next week, October 8th. I don't have the title for it yet, but we're going to be on the topic of a roadmap for downsizing. So we've talked about downsizing once or twice before, and we're going to talk the emphasis of this episode is going to be a little more on planning for your downsize and thinking through some of the logistics and sort of getting your own preparations into at least the planning stage.
Right.
Why don't you give us the tittle?
Okay. This week's tittle is called Twinkling Holiday Lights. This week's assignment is to spend some time reflecting on how you'd like to enjoy the holiday season this year. This is a quick and easy tittle because we know you'll have plenty of other things to do in the coming weeks. Make a list of 3 or 4 activities you most cherish about the holiday season. These might include religious observations, decorating, cooking, entertaining, travel, shopping, gift giving, family gatherings, or any aspect of the season that holds the most meaning for you. If you don't celebrate any holidays at this time of year, make a list of activities that you particularly enjoy doing in the fall and winter, and then reflect on the simplest, most uncomplicated form in which you might enjoy each of these items on your list. And keep your simplified holiday plans in mind as the season unfolds. Resist the pressure to overfill and complicate this time of year. And then come back and tell us what you did. We'd love to hear about it.
If you're watching this on YouTube, we would love for you to join us live. To get notifications about upcoming events, we invite you to join the meetup group at cfhou.com/meetup. You can also follow us on Facebook by visiting cfhou.com/Facebook, or join our mailing list by visiting cfhou.com/subscribe. We love to hear from our audience, so please keep sending us your comments, questions, and topic suggestions on YouTube, Facebook, or anywhere that you find us. You can always reach us through the website at clutterfairyhouston.com.
We're always happy to see you. Thank you to everybody in our Zoom room that's always a returning guest. We appreciate you so much. And we thank all of you that are listening in YouTube and on the podcast audience. We're so glad that you come back every week and listen to us. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.